I'm 45 years old and I feel like I'm aging backwards. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray. I'm a board certified dermatologist and I have patients who haven't seen me since before I had kids at the age of 39 and tell me that I look younger now than the last time they saw me. So how does that happen? Is it just genetics? No, I want to tell you it's not, because when I became a mother at the tender age of 39, I let go of my skincare, I let go of my self-care, and I aged what I felt was 10 years within the span of a year or two. And I definitely was not aging backwards then. So how is this happening? What am I doing? I get that question all the time from patients and clients. And I want you to know that everyone's skin journey is different, right? So yours is not going to look exactly like mine. But one thing I think is fairly universal, actually, when we hit our 40s and beyond, not everybody, of course, this might not be you, but if it is you, then just know that you are heard and you're not alone. When we hit our 40s and those perimenopause hormone shifts start, it can feel very easy to feel like we are not ourselves anymore. We lose a sense of self. And that happens because of things like the sheer exhaustion that occurs, the brain fog, the weight gain, etc. And of course, yes, those external changes that we see in our skin as a result of that declining estrogen, okay, and that accumulation of just years and years of stress and sun damage, etc. So if we can take measures in this time, in our 40 plus years, to actually feel like ourselves again, and that's kind of how I feel like I have reclaimed my skin, I've reclaimed my confidence and my sense of self. And for a lot of us, I think, yeah, when we look good, we feel good, right? And that's definitely true for me. My goal with all the things that I do to take care of my skin are not to look 25 again. No, I actually don't want to look 25, but I do want to look like I take care of myself. I want to look like I prioritize myself. And yeah, I kind of want to look perpetually 10 years younger than I am. Okay, not 20, just 10. So that is my goal. That may not be your goal. Everyone has their own skin journey, right? But that is my goal. And again, these are the things that help me get there. And hopefully this is helpful to you. One thing I want to say is that consistency is key here. Everything that I'm going to tell you about, they work because I am consistent with them. And consistency does not mean perfection. Please don't mishear me, because I don't want you to get into the space of like, oh, I can't do that all the time, 100% of the time, so I'm not even going to try. Consistency to me means most of the time, okay? So circa, 70, 80% of the time, I am doing these things, okay? So consistent things that are tiny little habits and daily things that I do. And yes, bigger kind of in-office treatment things that I do less frequently, but also consistently, right? So consistency is key. And at the end, I'm also going to talk to you about what I don't do that is also important in keeping my sanity and also helping me age well. So let's start with the skincare routine. That is what I think a lot of people want to hear about. What do I use? And what is important here is not actually the specific products I use, because this is going to be very highly personalized to each individual. And I'm a big believer in personalized skincare and not like random product recommendations, okay? So the products are not as important. What is important is using proven active ingredients, and that's what I'm going to tell you about. Because once you have those down and you've got the right products for your skin type that work well together, and again, this will be individual to each person, but that are incorporating those well-proven, science-based, evidence-based ingredients, then you're really going to be seeing the benefits of that. And that's what I found for myself as well. So for me in the morning, all I do is rinse my face in the morning. I don't really feel the need to wash. Sometimes when I actually wash, it over dries my skin a bit. So I rinse my face in the morning and then I apply a vitamin C serum. And I like to go personally for a higher dose vitamin C. My skin can tolerate a lot. Okay, so I am using pretty strong products. Again, this may not be for you, but yeah, you do want to use a antioxidant serum, preferably a vitamin C or a vitamin C based serum. And that will help combat the UV damage and the oxidative stress that is being brought on by sun exposure, visible light exposure, pollution exposure throughout the day. So that goes on first. And then I follow that up with just a moisturizer, basic moisturizer, and a tinted sunscreen. I love tinted sunscreens. Mineral based, of course, for me, because I don't want to mess with the potential for irritation from chemical sunscreens. I like the tint in the mineral sunscreens because they give me very light coverage. I don't wear makeup at all. Probably 99.9% of the time. If I'm going to go out for like a ladies' night out or something, or out on a date with my husband, then sure, yes, I will put on some makeup in the evening, but most days, even going to work, I don't wear makeup, just a nice tinted sunscreen. And I also like that the tint helps protect me from hyperpigmentation, or AKA dark spots, from sun exposure, specifically the visible light from the sun. So tint is amazing, and I love mineral sunscreens. So that's it for the morning. And then in the evening, I cleanse my face. I double cleanse typically because I do reapply my sunscreen throughout the day, and I want to get all of that off. I use an oil-based cleanser followed by a water-based cleanser. Very basic stuff, nothing too fancy. I don't really believe in fancy, expensive cleansers. I think they are largely a waste of money. So yeah, basic products, and then I follow that up with a hydrating serum because I want a little bit of extra moisture on my skin in the evening, and I'll tell you why, which is the next step. I put on a very, very, very strong retinoid, pretty much the strongest prescription one you can get. I use tazarotene, that's the strongest prescription one. And I use the 0.1%, which is the strongest dose. So that goes on next, and I think that that actually has been responsible for a lot of the improvement in the texture of my skin, the smoothness that I have experienced over the last year or two. And then I follow that up with a peptide cream. And again, I like a cream because I like to give my skin extra hydration at night, because that tazarotene really can dry you out. Retinoids in general can dry you out, so even like retinol over the counter can do so. And so I use a peptide cream, and then on top of that, I use a barrier repair cream, which I really use just more as a thick moisturizer. And those are nice because, again, it prevents the potential dryness and irritation that can come from using a really strong retinoid. And my skin tolerates it well. I don't break out or anything like that. So that is my routine. It's very, very simple, and it has kept me so happy with my skin. And again, has really helped resolve a lot of the texture issues that I was experiencing when I was not caring for my skin so well. And as a result of that, I have seen that my skin basically glows, and I could not be happier. I get compliments on my skin all the time. Again, not just saying this to brag, but this just got to show you what is possible with a really focused, very effective skincare routine that does not need to be 12 steps in the morning, 12 steps at night. It doesn't need to take half an hour. You don't need all the collagen masks and the spritzes and the ampules and all the things, okay? So that is just to tell you what's possible. And again, I've said this a million times, but I want to reiterate, the skincare routine is highly personalized. So for example, I don't deal with pigmentation issues. I don't have melasma. I don't have really a lot of in the way of sunspots or dark spots. So I'm not using, for example, something like a brightening serum that's more targeted for pigmentation, that has things like azelaic acid in it, or niacinamide. I don't have breakouts, so I don't use any products for controlling acne or anything like that. So again, highly personalized routines are gonna be your ticket to skin that you love, not borrowing product recommendations from some random influencer, etc., on social media that knows nothing about you or your skin or what you need. Okay, let's move on to the professional treatments, because I think, again, this is what a lot of people want to hear about. So yes, I do take advantage of the in-office professional treatments we have that I know as a dermatologist can do things that home products and a healthy lifestyle can't do, which are, first of all, waking up your collagen, increasing collagen production to a degree that the home products and the healthy lifestyle can't necessarily do. And number two, maintaining and restoring some of that deeper tissue volume loss that naturally occurs with age, and especially 40 and above. So my regular treatments are about 3 times a year. I do a neuromodulator, whether it's Botox, Dysport, or Daxxify. Those are the ones we have in our office. And honestly, I love all of them. I rotate through them because I can, because I have access to all of them in our office. But it is actually perfectly fine if you want to just pick one that you like and you stick with it. There is this concept of immunity, or getting your body kind of getting used to one of these products, one of the brands, and not having it be as effective as it used to be. Just don't let that scare you. It is more the exception than the rule for sure. Sure, can it happen? Yes. Is it happening to people all over, and like 80% of people are having that happen? No, it's definitely the minority. But again, I have access to all of them, so I just kind of use whatever we have on hand that day. So the areas that I use them are, first of all, in my forehead. I don't actually have forehead lines. I use it preventatively. I use a very low dose. I have been doing Botox in my forehead since my early 30s, so it's been very preventative for me, and I've had 0 bad outcomes from doing it for probably 13 to 15 years. And so again, I say that because I don't want you to be scared off by the rhetoric that the longer you do Botox, the more your skin is gonna change and your face shape is gonna change and it's gonna age you more. And again, that rhetoric is really unfounded in any kind of science or evidence, and I'm just living proof of that. Okay, so yeah, in my forehead, and then between the brows, again, more preventatively, and around the eyes, and then underneath the eyes. I actually talked in my last video, my last long form video, about some of the ways that we use Botox that I love, and I will tell you where I did those as well. I do those on myself as well. So under the eyes is one of them, to do kind of a preventative treatment for those under eye horizontal wrinkles. I do some more recently in the jawline too, because I've noticed some jowling. So yeah, some in the jawline to help release that platysma muscle, let it lift a little bit. And I do some in my DAOs that pull down the corners of the brow, mouth. And so that helps lift the corners a bit to help a little bit with the jowling there. And those are the main areas that I do Botox. Oh yeah, and my neck as well, because I do get these prominent platysmal bands, and I like to release those and help with the smoothing of the neck as well. So those neuromodulator treatments help me prevent some of those dynamic wrinkles that turn into static wrinkles, meaning when you move your face, you're making those wrinkles, and then eventually those wrinkles do settle in, right? They are there even when you're not moving your face. So I'm preventing that with the Botox. I'm helping with a little bit of jowling and kind of smoothing out the neck. And then the next treatment that I do is, again, to wake up some of that collagen, is I do a radiofrequency microneedling, probably 2 to 3 times a year. And that helps me get to a level where, again, the products are not getting. I'm getting deeper into the tissue to stimulate that collagen. And what that does, because I'm mainly focusing that on my lower face, jawline, and a little bit underneath the neck, that helps me to prevent any worsening of the jowling, and also to help with some of what I was already seeing. So again, 2 to 3 times a year with that. And I also have done one soft wave treatment that is an ultrasound based, again, tightening treatment that gets, again, to the deeper tissues, uses ultrasound energy to stimulate collagen. And I did that one time at the age of 44. And I feel like I'm good on that treatment for now. I might do another one next year. So that'll be 2 years from my last one. And again, that has helped with the bit of jowling I was seeing, and also is helping preventing it from getting worse. And because jowling does result not just from collagen and elastin loss, but also from loss of volume underneath the skin, the bone resorption in the face that happens over time, plus the atrophy of the fat, the deeper fatty tissues in the face. So I need to preserve and restore some of that volume. And so the only way to do that is with fillers or biostimulators like Sculptra. So that is also what I do, and I do it very conservatively. And this is what you can do too, because again, I think there's a lot of filler fear out there and kind of fear mongering around hyaluronic acid fillers, that they make you look puffy, that they make you look done, you look unnatural, you look older. And I have never found that to be true in the way that I use it on myself and in my patients. The key word is conservative, okay? And also well-placed, and with an expert hand and an artful eye, okay? So those are important. So who is injecting you is important. It's like looking at a painting and saying, wow, that paintbrush was amazing. It wasn't the paintbrush, right? It was the artist who used the paintbrush to make that amazing painting. And that is the same when it comes to the professional in-office treatments, especially things like fillers, okay? So conservative filler, once a year or so, no more than a syringe, and I get that done anywhere that I need it. I've done my temples, I've done a bit in my cheekbones, about out here in the outer cheeks to provide a little support, and along the jawline. Oh, and then also here, because I get a bit of my particular face shape, the way it's aging, I'm getting some atrophy here as well in like the chin area where the marionettes show up. So I've had it there as well. And then I do periodically use Sculptra as well. So I kind of alternate that with a filler, no more than once a year for each of them. And again, I use it in the same places that I use the filler, and I really don't have a big preference between the two. I just like to alternate because I like a little bit of that immediate support with the hyaluronic acid fillers, and I like a little bit of that more natural kind of slow progression of collagen stimulation that occurs with biostimulators like Sculptra. And so I have both in place. And I will say that when you have loss of both bone and fat underneath the skin, the fillers, the hyaluronic acid fillers, or something like Radiesse, which is calcium hydroxyapatite, those do help support that bone structure a bit more. Whereas if you have more like fat atrophy, you might benefit more from Sculptra with that softer tissue. So when you need something a little bit more sturdy, that's kind of reshaping the face a bit, that is where fillers are really, really handy. Okay, so that's also why when people are losing weight rapidly on the GLP-1s, Sculptra is not a bad idea, even before they've lost all that weight, to help support some of that subcutaneous fat that they're losing as they're losing fat in the rest of their body, right? So those are the bulk of my in-office treatments. I used to do a lot of microneedling in the office when I was in my 30s. It was actually before I had kids. And remember I said when I had kids, I kind of let go of everything for several years. But yeah, in my 30s, microneedling is really all it took to keep me looking amazing, along with my products that I was using at home. And I would work in some PRP as well with that, just kind of putting it over the microneedling and injecting any extra around the eyes, around the mouth. I don't do a lot of microneedling anymore. I'm relying more on the devices, but I still love a little microneedling here and there. So I don't think I've done it in the last year or two. Okay, so let's move on to the holistic health lifestyle, the holistic skin health habits that have really helped me maintain my radiance and amplify my radiance and get the most out of my treatments, get the most out of my products. And I will start with nutrition because that is a big factor for me. I have recently, like in the last year or two, since I have started taking more control of my health, including my skin health and my internal health, I have started eating more whole foods. I have a very plant-forward diet. I actually find it very hard, even as my kids are 6 and 4 now, they're a little older, a little bit more self-sufficient, but I still find it really hard to find time to cook or prep food. So I do have a meal delivery service called Thistle. I love Thistle. If you are in the West Coast, I think that's where they deliver, in the West Coast of the US. Love them. It is a plant-based meal delivery. You can add protein if you want. I just have my own separate protein with it, whether it's rotisserie chicken, hard-boiled eggs, salmon. I love salmon, so I try to incorporate salmon into our meals because it's very easy to cook. For me, it takes like 15 minutes. And just having a more plant-forward and protein-based diet. I am not big on processed foods. I am not huge on like bread or chips or things like that. Where my growth has been the most has been in the form of sweets. I have a sweet tooth for sure. I've always had that. And so I've just made it a point to prioritize swaps a bit more. So for example, I'll give you an example of this. I love a midday tea. I have like a midday either herbal or black tea around 12 o'clock. And I like something sweet with my tea. That's how I grew up. We are Persian, Iranian, and we have tea every day with something sweet. So instead of reaching for like the regular chocolate or cookie or something like that, at least 4 out of 5 times, I will have with my tea a handful of nuts plus like some dried fruit for some sweetness, unsweetened dried fruit. And that really does it for me. Or I'll have like dark chocolate or a dark chocolate peanut butter cup or something like that if I'm going all out. But yeah, so again, tiny swaps instead of having like a big bar of milk chocolate or something that's even more loaded with sugar. So yeah, because sugar does definitely break down our collagen. And I do also try to hydrate quite a bit. I have my big water bottle and I try to drink a couple of these a day. And I happen to love water and I happen to not like fizzy drinks, carbonated drinks. I don't drink soda, just out of preference. I don't really like it. So I love water. I have found that adding in one of those electrolyte mixes that are sugar-free in my water has actually helped me drink a lot more water. So I have it maybe one of these a day will be one of those electrolyte mixes like the LMNT, whatever you want to call it. I love those. And then one of them will be just plain water. So hydrating helps. I do want to say there is a myth out there that the more you drink water, the better your wrinkles will look. That's not really true. Hydrating from the inside is important, but if you're not also hydrating from the outside with like a really good routine, then you can drink all the water in the world and your skin will not be moisturized and your wrinkles will still be very prominent. And yes, hydrating your skin can minimize the look of those wrinkles a bit by just kind of plumping up the skin, right? Is it a long-term strategy? No, but yeah, it can minimize the appearance of fine lines if they're not too deep temporarily. So I do want to say hydrating is good for overall health and flushing out, all the toxins from our daily exposures and the food we're eating and all the things, but it is not like anti-aging in and of itself, okay? And then I've also in the last year been taking a probiotic for gut health because again, we are finding out a lot more recently about how a balanced gut microbiome and minimizing gut hyperpermeability, which is also known as leaky gut, in lay terms, that actually, when you're minimizing that, it helps minimize chronic internal low-level inflammation in your body. Yes, in your body, which helps contribute to things like chronic disease, cardiovascular disease, and things like that, but also accelerates skin aging. So again, I think a probiotic for me is something that's easy to incorporate into my daily routine, and maybe it's helping my gut a bit. Okay, so I have not gone so far as to do gut testing or anything like that. It is on my radar. I need to look more into the research behind that, but it's on my radar to do actual testing of the gut microbiome and how I can optimize that. And then the next category is sleep. Sleep is really the foundation of health, including skin health. And so it is really, really important to get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a day. And I would say most of the time I can achieve that. Of course, again, when I talk about consistency, what did I say? I said it doesn't have to be 100% of the time. I don't beat myself up if I get a poor night of sleep or I get 6 hours instead of 7. But my goal is to get 7 hours every night. My goal is to be asleep by 11 p.m. every night. By the way, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when our peak collagen production is occurring in our skin. So that's why I like to be asleep by 11. And sleep is when our skin does its most repair work and its most collagen production as well, like I said. So that is partly why I say sleep is the foundation of skin health as well. And you might have noticed that when you do have even 1 night or 2 nights of junky sleep, how that affects your complexion. Tell me if I'm wrong. Do you look more tired? Not just the eyes, but your skin looks more tired? Does it look more dehydrated? Does it look more dull? Are the fine lines a little bit more prominent? If you have seen that, you are not alone, and there is actual science behind that, and there are studies behind that showing that even a few nights of poor sleep can affect how our face looks. And so in supporting that better sleep, I do only have coffee in the morning. I don't have coffee or other high caffeine based drinks anytime after like 10 a.m. And then again, I have a midday tea, usually around 12 o'clock, maybe maximum 1 o'clock. And that's it for caffeine. I don't have caffeine in the evening because I don't want that interfering with my sleep. Even people who drink caffeine in the evening and can get to sleep just fine, that caffeine can interfere with your sleep cycles in such a way that you are not getting as restful of sleep. So again, it can affect your sleep, even if you're able to sleep comfortably after having a shot of espresso at 10 p.m. I also have really minimized my caffeine intake. I was never a big drinker anyway, but yeah, I enjoyed like a glass or 2 of wine on a random weekday for no reason, just to unwind a bit, right? I don't even do that anymore because I find it just the benefits do not outweigh the risks for me when it comes to my skin and my sleep, especially. So we do know that alcohol interferes with sleep tremendously, and it interferes again, even if you're getting to sleep just fine because alcohol is a depressant, it does interfere with your ability to get that deep sleep and restful sleep, and you have multiple micro awakenings throughout the night that interfere with restful sleep, and that is not doing your collagen any good either. And of course, it dehydrates your skin as well. Now, I do have alcohol once in a while if I'm out to a nice dinner or out with friends or something like that. Lastly, stress is such a major factor for aging the skin, and I'm happy to report that I have come to a place where stress is not as big of an issue for me. I do find little micro moments of time throughout the day to kind of ground myself. It's so simple. I just do some deep breathing. I might do a little bit of like quiet meditation for 5 minutes here and there. Once in a while, I'll do some journaling at night. That helps me kind of release what I've been holding throughout the day and not be thinking about it while I'm trying to sleep. So stress, honestly, for me has not been a huge issue in the last year or two, but I know it can be for a lot of people. And there's so many evidence-based practices that you can employ that are really easy to integrate into your life, hopefully, that can help minimize your stress. And you don't necessarily need to like get a therapist or something like that. Doesn't need to be a big time and commitment, and it can be completely free. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do, and these are things that I help people with in our program too, Radiant by Design, because we know that skin health is whole body health, right? And our skin is an organ. It is fed by the blood in our bloodstream. It is connected to all our other organs. And so how we treat ourselves, how we treat our body internally, including how we manage our stress, will always show up on our face. I will say too, exercise is very beneficial for skin. It helps get the blood pumping to the skin and deliver nutrients and oxygen to the skin. And when you have that underlying muscle support, like in your muscles of your arms, your legs, it does help support the skin and minimize some of that loose, crepey skin that we can get with age. And it helps with stress management and sleep, insulin regulation, blood glucose regulation, and all the things. I personally have battled with this. I have not gotten to a place where I am doing exercise as regularly as I'd like to. So that is next on my list of things to tackle in terms of bettering my health, including my skin health. Okay, so that is the gist of my daily and periodic practices that I do, from skincare to in-office treatments to just my daily lifestyle and habits. And here are the things that I don't do. I'm going to keep this brief, okay? I don't cut out any particular food or category of foods or anything. Like I said, I love sugar. Yes, sugar does break down our collagen, but I know that when sugar breaks down our collagen is when our blood sugar, our blood glucose is consistently elevated, not when there's like periodic rises from like one cookie a couple times a week or something like that, or a piece of cake, once a week or something like that. That is not as detrimental to your skin by any means as having sugary, very sugary, or high glycemic index foods sprinkled throughout your day, every single day, keeping your blood glucose consistently elevated. And what can happen there is that the glucose, the sugar, works its way into your skin and binds to the collagen. It's a bit of a stepwise process, but over time it can kind of stiffen that collagen and make it inactive pretty much. And that can age our skin significantly. So it's that consistent elevated blood glucose that breaks down or stiffens collagen. And so again, I don't cut out sugar completely. I just have reduced it significantly and made it more of a periodic thing. The second thing I don't do is smoke. And smoking is, of course, bad for our health and cardiovascular risk and lung cancer risk and all of that. It is also one of the worst things you can do for your skin health and appearance. So smoking is a big no-no for me, including vaping. And then the last thing that I don't do is follow unproven, trendy fads like microcurrent or, snail mucin or even exosomes, because to me, exosomes in topical skincare are still unproven. And so I have not hopped on that bandwagon. It's also an expensive bandwagon, by the way. But yeah, I don't hop on to the skincare bandwagon. I only follow what I know is well proven and evidence-based. And I think that it has done really well for me and my patients and my clients in my digital programs. And I also don't invest time or money in temporary solutions, like, for example, gua sha. And don't come for me if you love gua sha. Please proceed with your gua sha, no problem. But personally, something that just kind of moves around the fluid in your face and gives you a little bit more sculpting for like a couple of hours in the morning, for me, it's just not worth the time. Some people might love that. They might find it very relaxing and just part of their routine every day. Totally wonderful and fine. I'm telling you, for me, it's not worth it. And things like frownies or like the face tape that you put on at night, I am not doing all that. And again, very unproven in terms of like its Botox-like effect. The one place where I find that those might be effective is if you are a side sleeper or a stomach sleeper where your skin is creasing all night, then tapes like those, as long as they're not bothering your skin, can be slightly effective and kind of minimizing the creasing that's happening. So sure, yes, that one instance, I think they're beneficial. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not putting, and by the way, I sleep on my back most of the time, but I'm not putting time or effort into using products like that. I would rather just go, every 4 months or so and have a little Botox. And very safe treatment. It works really well for me. It is highly effective. It takes 5 minutes to do. Yes, it takes some money, but again, for me, that money is worth putting in to get a treatment that I don't have to think about for another 3 or 4 months. So again, this is why I say skin health, skincare, how we care for our skin, how we keep it youthful is so highly personalized. And me sharing this with you is not to tell you you should be doing the same thing, but to show you what's possible and to show you that when you pull from these different tools in our toolbox, right? The skincare, the professional treatments, the lifestyle, etc., that you actually can age in a way that feels really good. You can potentially age backward. You can get all the compliments. You can feel good when you look in the mirror. You can want to take those pictures. You want to post those pictures. You don't mind getting on the Zoom camera, all the things. And I think that really for most people, it's possible to do, okay? The vast majority, I think sometimes people get in this place where they think that there's nothing that they can do for their skin, or they think that what it does actually take to improve their skin to a level where they actually feel good about it is more than they can handle. And so hopefully, again, my going over what I've done, what I do for myself, is a little bit of inspiration. And if you have any questions about it, of course, pop them in the comments. And if you want me to dive deeper on any of these things, I'm happy to make another video on that. Just let me know. And if you're not already subscribing, please subscribe to this new channel. And I can't wait to talk more.